The story of our family is much like any other story, in the fact that Julie and I met, and we met through work, and we fell in love, and we were a little later along in life. In fact, when we got married, I was 34, and Julie was 33, and of course, my lovely wife was working in an airline, so we had that Marry Me Fly for Free perk. Remember that? And we utilized that a little bit. We traveled around, and we both woke up one day. Of course, I'm much older. What, a year and 7 or 8 days older than she is. And we woke up one day, and we were 40 years old. And we said, we ought to try to start having a family. So we tried and tried and tried and tried, and then couldn't.
Yeah, we had suffered through 3 miscarriages, which a lot of people have had to deal with, and went to fertility treatments and started down that road. And there was finally a day where we got the phone call where the doctors just said, there's nothing we can do to help you to have a child of your own. And so we went through that mourning period of not being able to have our own child, but truly we believe that a family is not who you're born into, a family is who you make it to be. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we started looking at adoption. And we interviewed about 14 different agencies.
A bunch of different agencies, yeah.
And finally got to the point that everybody wants a baby. Mm-hmm. And what we wanted to do was provide a home for a child who may not have the opportunity to have a good life that we could provide for them. And lo and behold, we got a phone call one day from Larimer County Social Services. And they said, we heard that you might be a great candidate for a foster adopt family. And we said, well, how did you hear about us? And they said, your veterinarian recommended you and said, if you treat a child as well as you treat your dogs, you would be really great parents.
So I guess that was about as good a recommendation as you can get. We treat your dogs well, I bet you'll treat your kid well. So we decided to go through the social services program. We went through Pride classes. And ironically, from the time that we made the decision to go into Pride to the time that young Jack James came into our home was about 9.5 months. Mm-hmm. We had met a couple other, through pictures and through files, we had met another couple of kids, and it just wasn't right. But do you remember when they called us in and they sat down and they sat us down, and they said, we would like you to meet this young boy here, and we think that he'll be a good match. And that young boy was our son.
Yeah. It was one of those very interesting times that the people that surrounded that table, because there was a gaggle of people, yeah. And one was the husband of a woman that I worked with previously. One was a lady that I went to high school with. Another was a woman who lived one neighborhood away from us. And it just turned out that the foster family, the husband worked at the same place that I did in Loveland. And so it was kind of a God thing.
After we found out we couldn't have children of our own, you go through all the thought processes that you go through. And one of the biggest thought processes I went through is, this child is not going to be of mine. It's not going to be of my genetic material. And will I be able to love this child as my own? And let me say to anybody who is considering adoption, the second that you pick up that child, the second that you see him and put him in your arms and realize that this very well could be our child, there's no doubt in your mind.
We went around that table and looked at they had a picture to show us. And Jack James is a name that we chose. Jack is named after my grandfather, John. And Scott and I were going back and forth in the car on our way there about the name. And they showed us the picture of this precious little boy. And at the same time, we both said, his name is Jack.
So we decided that Jack James was going to be our son. And the social services folks decided that Jack James could be our son. So it was a good day. And we kind of went on this course where we would go over to his foster family, and I'd feed him lunch, and Julie would go over and would feed him dinner and maybe give him a bath and put him to bed. And we were on this track to where we were going to get him 6 or 7 or 8 weeks from now. I forget what it was. But I'll never forget they called us, and it was right around Thanksgiving. And they said, hey, by the way, things have changed for the foster family. can you take him in 3 days? And we went,
Yes, yes, we
Of
can."
course we can take him in 3 days. We had a very dear friend throw us an emergency baby shower.
That's
Do you remember?
right.
And I had no idea that a kid came with about 1,000 square foot of stuff.
That's for
But
sure.
a kid comes with 1,000 square foot of stuff, and then he got all the stuff that we needed. First of all, may I commend the person who invented the diaper genie. The finest Nobel Peace Award should go to the
Yes.
guy who invented the diaper genie. But we got all that stuff that we needed in that emergency baby shower. And Jack literally came home on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, yeah. We celebrate Gotcha Day every year because it's important to us. It's the day that we got him. It's the day we became a family. And as a matter of fact, we are on our way to Denver to celebrate Gotcha Day. And Jack's number one goal for Gotcha Day is that he wants to stop at the Lamborghini store. So
Whether he gets one of those.
I think we're going to be on the sidewalk and take a picture with them with the Lamborghini. They may not allow us on the lot, but Gotcha Day is really important because it is the day that your family has begun.
So we began our family, and that was, 11 and a half years ago. And we have experienced the same thing that birth parents, that bio parents experience. There are tremendous ups and tremendous downs, the highest and highs and the lowest of lows. But never is there any hesitancy, never is there any thought that this is not the way that God intended, that this is not supposed to be our child. Jack is our son, and genetics don't matter. It's ironic that we adopted Jack during November, because November is National Adoption Month. And so whether you see this in November or whether you see this in January or March, whenever you see it, know that adoption absolutely completes families. There may be a hole in your heart, and that's a kid-size hole in your heart, and adoption can fill that. Please consider it, because adoption does give a child a home, but it fills that kid-size hole in your heart.